obviously, there's no playbook for it, but this postponements and all those things, have you learned a few things about how to keep your team engaged, or once the game's called off in Illinois, you find a way to scrimmage, or what do you do?
Yeah, I wish there was a clear-cut answer. I think last year definitely helped not only me but the guys in our program because you kind of know what it's about. I think the biggest thing is you don't want one postponement to turn into 2 and 3. And I think especially coming off Christmas, like I'm looking at like, okay, you already give your guys 3 days. The worst thing you need is for those next 2 games to be canceled because now you could potentially be in an area where you're not playing for 17, 20 days. And we've been there, and I've got guys that are going through that right now, and that's hard with momentum. And then it's the issue of, okay, do you pick up a game? Who do you pick up? Does it make sense? We're in the Big Ten where I think we're going to have like 11 quad one opportunities. So for somebody in a league like that, does it make sense to pick up a game? Is the risk reward? But at the same time, you want to still play, and guys want to play. So, I think our guys handled it great. Obviously disappointed because they want to play, they want to compete. But at the same time, I think they understand that, in today's day and age, it kind of is what it is. You got to be able to adapt and move on and adjust, and we'll do that.
Can you add a game right now anytime you want because as long as you don't hit the limit?
So it's my understanding, yeah. So that was kind of our plan, is that we were going to figure out, okay, administration good with it? Is the Big Ten good with it? It was my interpretation if we lose a preseason game, we would be able to replace that. And it's just a matter of kind of when you do it, where you do it, and kind of looking at from all those different angles. And obviously, who does it make sense with who's available with their schedule and who can play you? I think that's the other thing too. Is like you want it to balance out and you get a game that makes sense, long term as well. So I think a lot of people are open to that because they understand it's different now, and you got to be able to adjust.
Will you add a non-conference game in to make up for the game that was
I don't know. It's hard because this was technically our bye week, and so with playing tomorrow now, it's like you can't add one this week. And then as you get going in the rhythm of the Big Ten, it's like, okay, if guys are locked into playing Big Ten games, do you throw a non-conference game in there? I don't know. I think some of it is just kind of the flow of the year. And I think, too, for us to think we're going to go the rest of the year and not have a pause for one reason or the other is probably a little bit naive. And so, you always have in your back pocket, okay, if this happens, we have to think of things we could do. And then you just kind of have to feel for at the moment, does it make sense?
How do you stay sharp during that time? You guys didn't play a couple games.
Yep. I think, our guys, again, because of last year, they knew kind of how to handle it. They were mature about it. Like I said, obviously disappointed. But I think knowing that we were probably going to end up playing this Illinois game, not knowing when it was going to be, it would have been different if it was completely paused. And like now they knew that, dang, we weren't going to play till Indiana. Well, now you got to get a little bit creative with what you do in practice to create that momentum. But, honestly, we had an extra off day, and then we were pretty much back to business as usual and were able to kind of stick to our routine with our prep work and doing what we do in practice. So I think our guys handled it really well. Again, you don't have time to, pout or feel bad. You got to get over it. I mean, it's everybody's dealing with it. It is what it is. And I think the teams that are going to be successful are successful that way, where they figure out how to stay sharp on their own, how to stay mentally ready. I think it's more mental than anything, and you just kind of go from there.
Have you guys had positive cases, and is everybody going to be available tomorrow?
Yeah, we're full go tomorrow, and they'll knock on wood. Again, I've told our guys, when you're healthy, you want to play as many games as you can. You want to get them in, and they understand that. So they've done a great job of just, putting themselves in position to be able to go. And again, when you're healthy, you want to load up. You don't want to have buys. You don't want to have offs. So no, we're full go. But then we've learned with Alcorn, it legitimately, you don't really know till the day of. You don't. I mean, somebody wakes up in the morning and all of a sudden they have an issue and somebody's got to get tested. It's just kind of is what it is. So you're literally day by day.
Is the CDC 5 days, the new regulations for you guys, the Big Ten, the U of M? I don't even know who governs it.
Yeah, so right now, I believe it's the state. It's up to the state. So each individual state's different in terms of have they bought into the CDC of 5 days, and so that'll be the next continuing of discussion is, okay, here's where Minnesota stands, here's where Michigan stands, here's where Ohio stands, here's where Indiana stands. So that piece is kind of a work in progress. I think as the days go on, everybody collects more information and each state figures out what they want to do. So we have to abide by the Minnesota rules, and that's what we'll do, and our guys know that. And again, you just kind of plan accordingly. But like I said, our guys have done a great job with, knock on wood, doing what they need to do to put themselves in position where we haven't had an issue. So.
But have you seen any possible upside to this layoff, like just with rest or a chance to put in some new sets? Or
Yeah, no, there's definitely been that. Anytime you can get better on both sides of the ball and not have to worry about a scout. So we had a day where it was kind of a freebie. We were able to get up a ton of shots and add some stuff offensively and talk about just some defensive stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to do because you're worried about game planning. So there's definitely that. We're always smart with our rest. We're smart with our off days. Smart with guys getting off their feet. I think that's what you have to do. If you get caught up in the woe is me and here we go, I think it's miserable for everybody. And then your players start sensing that. So I think the more, from staff-wise, you can stay positive and upbeat and you can find ways to flip things and create and make it an advantage, I think guys also feel that and, go from there.
What's Illinois look like to you?
Tough. The more you watch, the more you realize why I think preseason they were up there with the best to potentially win the league. And you got a kid like Kofi who's a generational type player, with just his size alone. And then you add what he's able to do offensively, rebounding, getting positioning. He's a unique cover. We've gone against Hunter, who's a little bit similar in terms of just their mass, their size. So it's given us a little bit of an edge in terms of, we kind of know what to expect. But he's a unique talent that puts your defense in a bind. And they've done a good job with, they've surrounded them with playmakers and guys that can make shots. And you look at their numbers, they love the three. And so now it's like, what do you do? How are you going to guard them? Are you going to be consistent? Are you going to change it up? So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. Obviously, they're well coached, but I think it's a challenge that our guys are ready for. It's an opportunity for us to go against one of the best in the country and see where we stand and see where we stack up and see what where we're good at and where we need to get better. And so I think that opportunity to compete against a program like this, our guys are looking forward to it.
They're a team that likes to, bring the pressure and obviously turn it over quite a bit when they do that. And you played a team similar to that, Corpus Christi, that did that. And you guys have had a game between that, got a little better, taking care of the ball. You guys play it over again, maybe that game, to see what.
No, I haven't even talked about that game. It's interesting. I think they're good defensively. But if you look at their minutes, they're similar to us. They're not very deep. They don't go very deep in their bench, and so it's going to be an interesting tale. It's not like Michigan State. You look down there and it just feels like they're bringing a new guy in every time out. And you're just like, good God. Whereas now, I think the tempo and the pace might be a little bit more similar than different. I think both of us are opportunistic in transition in the open floor. Both teams, are confident in shooting the three. Obviously they have a big inside presence, but if you look at just their numbers, it's not like they're going 10 deep. And so, we're going to have to handle their pressure. We're going to have to be strong with the ball. I think that's for every game. I'd like to tell our guys that it's not just it's got to be who you are. It can't just be, hey, for this game, guys, we got to take care of the ball. And for this game, we got to handle pressure. It's like we're in the best league in the country. If you don't have that mindset every day, you're going to be in trouble. And so we just try to make that a point of emphasis and have that be who we are offensively.
How much pride do you take, does your team take in the unbeaten non-conference record?
A lot. It was funny. I had talked about it enough where Charlie Daniels, that was why he was so disappointed, is because he wanted to play that last non-conference game and really had pride in being undefeated in the non-conference. And I thought that was pretty cool. I think more so than anything is because those guys know where we were picked, and those guys know the kind of outside level of expectation. And I think anytime, you can overcome something that maybe people didn't think you could do, it is a sense of pride. So I think those guys should feel good about it. I think they put a body of work together that was good, and everybody that they faced that was non-conference, they took care of business. And I think you see across the country, there's always a couple teams that, you have that game that could maybe come back and haunt you. You have a game that you don't win, and we didn't have that. We didn't have a bad loss, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. And like I said, credit goes to those guys.
Might be a weird question to ask. You're not a doctor, but when you have a team that's coming off of COVID like Illinois has, and there's different guidelines that they follow. I know the CDC talks about the 5-day rule, and then after that, guys wear masks. There's been guys wearing masks that they're playing out there on the court.
Yeah.
Do you concern yourself with that at all when teams have different guidelines and things like that?
Yeah, no, that's where it does get tricky. And it's good. It's a problem that everybody in the league has, because obviously we're all in different regions and different states, and rules are different. So, the biggest thing, you just try to rely on, we're all adults, and we all have great medical staff, and you just rely that everybody's going to do the right thing. And I believe that. I feel like, Illinois is going to handle it the right way, and they've got great people in their corner and great doctors, and that's all you can do. You just hope that everybody, does what they're supposed to do and follows the rules to the best of their ability, and is open and honest with situations. And if something comes up, then we all adjust. And, if you're a team that has to deal with it, that you come out of it the right way. I think it's, that's the fair thing for the players. I think that's the biggest thing, is at the end of the day, how do we get through this so that the players can play and they can be safe, and that the fans can come and they can feel safe. And again, I think everybody's an adult, and we all want to win, and we all want to play, but we all want to do it the right way and do it the safe way. So,
What do you think is just a ramp up now, looking at this gauntlet, Illinois into Indiana into Michigan State?
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't thought outside of this week or this game, to be honest, perfectly honest with you. But this is the Big Ten, so it's like no matter who you play, it's coming, and it's a different, unique challenge each game. So to me, looking ahead doesn't do anything, because whoever you're gonna play, they're gonna be good. It's just a different challenge. So now it's the game within the game is, can you worry about today? Can you worry about getting better today in practice, and worry about the game plan for tomorrow? And then when tomorrow comes, can you figure it out? I think, you probably ask any coach, you go through it. If you start processing all that stuff, it can seem like a lot, and a lot, so much can change, and there's so many runs, the Big Ten title's probably never going to decide until the last 2 weeks of the season. So it's like, you can't worry about winning the Big Ten in the first week of January. You just got to worry about, are you playing the right style of basketball? Like, we talk about that ad nauseum with our guys. Are we playing the right way? Are we playing the right style? Are we getting better? If you worry about those things, and you do improve as a team, then I do think February, March, you'll be in a position. You'll be competitive. And I think, it would be negligent for me or our guys to try to look too far down the road, because then you lose sight about what's most important. And what's most important is, if we don't have a good practice today and we're not locked in on a game plan, then we're going to be in trouble tomorrow. And that's the biggest issue, is, all right, how do we find a way to be competitive versus Illinois?
Do you scale back at all, Ben, on your coaches in terms of going to high school games? Just, those are a lot of packed
Yeah.
houses right now,
Yeah.
especially the players that you're looking at. Do you try to stay away from them at all, or what, is there a rule of thumb, because recruiting comes into this too?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it's funny, because I actually, over the break, was just thinking and texted our staff and said, we're gonna put it on pause here for a little bit, because again, my biggest worry was, especially early, like, if we don't get a couple of these games under our belt, then that scared me, because you got the 3 days, and it could add to 20 really quick. And so it's like, we're going to put things on pause. Locally, maybe a little bit different, but when you're talking about in an airport, on an airplane, you go to a different state that might have different rules. You got different people that, you just don't know what they got going on. Everybody's traveling with the holidays. I just said, for the next couple of weeks, let's put it on pause to make sure we get a couple games in, we get going, we get that under our belt, and then as you get into January, February, you can kind of open it back up. But for right now, my immediate thing was we got to make sure we play a couple, and we can't maybe run the risk of going somewhere and traveling and coming back and not knowing. So and then families were great about it. We basically told them that's what it is. It's we're going to be out there, but for right now, if you just look at the numbers, we gotta do right by our team and our program and try to make sure we get a couple of these games in early.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Would you get Andre for an engagement game?